Peng Chang, do you have anything going on the 21st of April? A concert here for April 21st, 6 p.m. here in the sanctuary. This is for your dissertation or your doctoral work? Okay, this is your academic work, big end recital. So if we pack the audience with your fans, okay. So just for those online, let me reiterate, the 21st, if you want to mask up and come in at 6 p.m., Peng Chang will be doing a concert as part of his academic graduation requirements, and we will be happy to cheer him on with verve and glee. And here, this very building, you can even save your seat, you know, like this is my seat. All right, my dears, I'm going to ring the bowl and we are going to commencing.
We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is the church of the open mind. This is the church of the helping hands. This is the church of the loving heart. Together, we care for the church and each other. Good morning. Welcome to St. John's Unitarian Universalist Church. We're so glad that you've decided to be here with us today. We are a liberal religion welcoming all who wish to pursue a free and responsible search for truth and meaning in their lives. We are a welcoming congregation, which means we respect and celebrate difference and hope to know each other better. A special welcome to those visiting for the first or second time. Please join us for coffee hour after the service in the fellowship hall across the entranceway. Or if you're on Zoom, stick around after the service for the virtual coffee hour. At this time, please ensure your cell phones are silenced. Again, thanks for joining us. It is good to be together. And now if you would join me in the affirmation which is printed in your order of service. This is the mission of our faith, to teach the fragile art of hospitality, to revere both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean divisiveness, and to witness to all that we must hold the whole world in our hands.
Our opening hymn is number 1025, When Will the Fighting Cease? And we have some special instructions which come down to follow Rob and the choir. But Rob, I will let you introduce this.
This is a new hymn for the choir as well. It's very fitting for the day, 1025. So, now the choir's going to stay there. Everybody's going to stand and sing together, but you'll see there's a top part and a bottom part. Choose one, but we will sing it through 3 times. First 2 times in English, third time in Latin. It'll be a grand adventure for us all, but it will be lovely. It is a pleading, it is a prayer. May we sing it as that. 1025. Peng Chang, will you play through it one time for us? Everybody stand.
Have some guests with us. Sheryl, hi. Would you like to come forward and tell us about Heartfelt Tidbits? And Anjali is here. Anjali is here. Hi. And Anjali was previously on the board, yes. And we've had some, like, you and I showed up at the same place at the same time not so long ago. So Cheryl's going to introduce us to Heartfelt Tidbits and tell us a little bit about what they do and how they do it. They are our Split the Plate partner for this month. And there's been some confusion about Split the Plate. Sorry, just occurred to me, I need to say this. So what happened is that we had a worldwide pandemic, this COVID thing, and it shut us down and it messed up some of the ways we were doing things. And one of the things that we decided, because everything was messed up, is we decided that we would split undesignated funds during COVID time when we were only online for like the first 3 weeks of the month, or we would do it differently than just the one Sunday, because our partners like Heartfelt Tidbits need more love. All of the nonprofits are suffering in COVID time. So just to be clear, when you are giving to the church during Sunday service, an undesignated gift will go half to the Split the Plate partner and half to St. John's on the first 3 Sundays. After that, it goes just an undesignated gift goes just to St. John's. You can always designate your check by writing that it's for the Split the Plate partner, or specifically saying for Heartfelt Tidbits this month. And we will make sure they get the 100% amount. Or you can designate it specifically for St. John's by saying all St. John's. Now, is this all perfectly clear? Do we all know what we're doing? I know some of you are going, write a check. What does that mean? But the bottom line is we are a community that is in partnership with groups outside these walls who do good work, and we like to support them. Sheryl is the executive director of Heartfelt Tidbits, and she's going to tell us what they do.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Okay. So I'm Sheryl Rajbhandari, and I'm the founder and executive director of Heartfelt Tidbits. And I formed the organization, or founded it, in 2008. We became an official organization in 2016. And I met my first refugee family in 2008. It took me 8 years to realize this wasn't going away. I thought I would just be helping one family, then 100 people, 200 people, 1,000 people. And I still kept believing in my mind that there wasn't a need for me to create another nonprofit in the city of Cincinnati. So unfortunately, that was not the case, right? I would love to say that we're not needed and fold our nonprofit, but we support refugees and immigrants living in Cincinnati, Ohio. Our primary objective is to make sure that those folks feel welcomed and loved and respected, and their dreams come true. When they ask me, what can I do? I tell them, you need to share your dreams and we'll walk beside you and help you realize those. And I want them to be self-sufficient. I don't want them to be relying on support for their entire life here. So what does that mean? They have to speak English. They have to acclimate. Their kids have to attend school. They need to know their neighbors. They need to feel welcome. They need to be part of a community. So we're a firm believer that in order for people to be successful here, they need to be surrounded by many others, not just me, as much as I'd like to be the only person. Now that we're way over 40,000 people that we've helped, I can't be the only person that they meet. So I have relied on volunteers to assist us. Without those volunteers, really dedicated volunteers, we would not be here and be successful in helping the people, because it takes one family could have 22 volunteers assisting them, from everything from taking kids to a park, to teaching dad English, helping 5 years later with citizenship if they're a refugee family, if they're an immigrant family, taking them for legal services, helping them when their rent can't be paid, whatever the case. So I just wanted to share, just to put it into a context that people can understand some of the situations that we've experienced. And I wanted to share just a few stories. So one story is of a young man that arrived from Afghanistan. And when I met him, and my caseworker and I were doing the intake for him, I said, he looks like he's 30 years old, right? 25 maybe. And I said, how can we help you? Do you want to go to college? What do you want to do? And he said, my whole life, I've been a barber. It's been multi-generational family events that have led to that. We've owned a barber shop my whole life. I've been working there since I was 3. And he said, so I really want to be a barber. And I said, okay, what else do you want? And he said, I really want to be able to help support my wife and children that I left behind in Afghanistan. I said, oh, how many kids do you have? 1, 2, 7. I said, how did that happen that you ended up here? Right? I mean, lucky you and not your wife, because now she's stuck back there with 7 kids. And he said, we were outside the airport and I went in to ask a question and I got stuck. They wouldn't let me back out. And I told him my wife and kids were outside and they said, too bad, you have to get on this plane. So he was amongst the people that, when you saw on TV, people being airlifted out, he was one of those individuals. With technology being that it is, his wife and kids can communicate to him every single day that he's here. That's fantastic. But the flip side of that is that they are scared to death. They are crying. They've been sick. They've had issues, the Taliban. So he's living that guilt of being here away from them, not being the man taking care of his family, as well as hearing their pleas for help. And so right now he's working at a restaurant. I told him, I said, we can't get you into a barber shop. It requires a license here. So we're going to have to put you wherever we can find employment, since he wanted to work right away so he could start sending money home. And so he's working at a restaurant 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. So there's, a single mom. When we met, I talked about this poor single mom, 21 years old with a 1-week-old. And one parent got deported and the other one died of COVID. So now she also has the responsibility for her 3 siblings. She's living in Sheryl. And, when I talked to her, I'm like, what is your dream? She's like, I don't have any dreams. because what could I possibly dream about? I'm going to be stuck for my whole life being their mother and being my child's mother. So we've started to work with getting volunteer grandma type people who want to be with the kids, take the kids out, do things, help them with homework. Now we have some volunteers this week that will start cleaning her house because she just can't do it. She's working. She has this new baby. So I'm like, you can't do everything on your own. You need support. You need help. Let us surround you with people. There's so many people who want to help and share their love. So let us surround you with that. We have a single dad who lost his partner of 7 years. And she had 2 children, not even his. And he fought for guardianship up to the last minute. So he's now taking care of 2 children who are not his. And, you know, it's a struggle. So again, surrounding him with love and support, people to help with the schoolwork, dropping meals off, doing his laundry, cleaning his place, because it's a tough job. Until we get that stability in the home, we try to just surround people so that their lives can move forward. Because if we allow them to get depressed, then we find that it can be years before we can recover. They can recover from that because of the amount of trauma that they have. So how can you help Heartfelt Tidbits besides the gracious gifts that you have given us in the past of financial gifts? I mean, my goodness, you know, I said money is an easy thing, right? No, I never feel like I have to ask for that because people know that's an inherent thought. When we want to give, we always open our wallet. But the other ways you can give is maybe you're a phone call every week to a family to say, hey, this is Joe. I just want you to know I'm thinking about you this week. And, you know, listening to them say, hey, English class is really hard. No, you can do it. My husband and another volunteer are out bike riding this morning with 7 kids from Afghanistan. My husband loves to bike ride. And the volunteer was supposed to help kids with English. And now she takes them to the park and loves bike riding, teaching them to fish. And we brought in another volunteer to help them with English because she was like, wow, I just can't stop taking them out to play. I'm like, that's great, but they still need to learn English and they have schoolwork. So so there's multiple ways to help a family, right? Or help an individual. If you have 5 minutes, if you have 100 hours, if you want to serve on our board like Anjali did, there's that possibility. We do fundraisers, you can help that way. We have volunteers who just click like on our social media posts on Facebook and Instagram so that we can just keep being very visible, right? Not a big ask, but it's so important that it's done. Every single task is something that I don't have to do. Then the other thing is we're looking for space in Carthage area so we can hold classes. We really want to kick off social emotional learning for women and children because we're seeing the volume of trauma increasing and the wait time for therapy is tremendous for those without insurance. So we found some great volunteers who said, hey, we can help you with that, but we have to get a space. So if you know anyone with space in Carthage who is interested in renting or selling it, please let us know. And anything else you can think of. We're always open to ideas, suggestions. New programs are created every day just based on an idea somebody had and a story or something they thought from their experience would be useful. So we're always open to hearing the thoughts and ideas of persons who want to volunteer with our organization. So I will be around for coffee hour if you have any questions. And once again, thank you so much for sharing of your time and energy with us. I can't tell you, I mean, we've grown three times the amount we were a year and a half ago in terms of who we're supporting. So it's, we could not do it without this type of support, right? And so I really appreciate that. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you. So I want to say something about churchness. Churchness means that we as a body can support Heartfelt Tidbits. And it means that we can go out as individuals and volunteer and then come back to this place and share with each other, wow, I was working with refugees and here is what challenges me. Here is what delights me. Here is where I find strength. And we can create the circles in the church that support each other as we look, because like the thing about Unitarian Church, we're not here to tell you what to do at all. We are here to be a place that cultivates your innate ability to look at the world through a lens of faith. So when you look at these families in need and say, what do they require? What does this ask of me, of my soul? We are here to help you answer that and to do it together. I'd like to invite Nancy Johnson up to share with us a little bit about what it means to pledge. Hi, Nancy. Good morning.
We had a joke actually that I would leave my talk at home, and I didn't do that, but okay, thank you, dear. Yes, we'll hear more about this later. Well, good morning, St. John's. My name is Nancy Johnson, and I'm trying to find, there you go, you hold that, it won't hurt you. No. I would like to share with you why I am excited about supporting St. John's with a financial pledge this year. First and foremost, we are all in this together, like Mitra just said. We make church happen. We make it happen by participating in worship on Sundays, in Zoom, and in the sanctuary. We make church happen by volunteering throughout the week. And we make church happen by building community, both inside and outside of St. John's. But one of the most important ways we make church happen is by providing the money that is needed to pay for church. By making a financial pledge, my husband, Bill Gordon, and I are making a commitment to help St. John's do the good work it has been doing for over 200 years and to do even better in the future. Now for the story. I love being a Unitarian Universalist, and I especially love being a member of St. John's. My husband, Bill, and I started attending St. John's more than 20 years ago when our son, David, who was here a couple of weeks ago, was a budding reader at 5 years of age. One Sunday, we were staying in a motel, and my son reached into a drawer and pulled out a Gideon Bible. Boy, this makes me nervous. Anyway, I'll try not to fall over. He picks up the Bible and he looks at the cover and he proudly says, "Holly Bibble." Well, Bill and I said, time for religious education. So we wanted our son to grow up in a church that taught him to respect other belief systems and to think for himself about what his own belief system should be. And St. John's turned out to be that very place. David attended religious education classes here from grade school through his teenage years, and the input of his teachers and other kids and adults at St. John's helped make him be the wonderful young man he is today. So I'm really excited about what our pledges can do to help us offer great experiences for kids at St. John's. As we make our way out of the pandemic and back to more normal life at church, which clearly we're doing, I want other children to have the same great experiences that David had here. At St. John's, we are also blessed to have amazing, creative, incredibly hardworking staff people who work together to plan and coordinate the work of the church. Our pledges us folks, for the current year made up 83% of the church budget. And 71% of that budget went toward personnel experiences to pay our minister, our director of religious life, our music director, our accompanist, our caretaker, and our office administrator. The rest of the budget paid for our many church programs, our building and grounds, and administering the work of the church. It's important to know that our pledge team wants each of us to give an amount that feels right, given our financial situation and our involvement at church. My husband, Bill, and I have made an annual pledge every year, and it's varied a lot depending on our financial circumstances. We finally made it to the point that I never imagined, where we can donate more to St. John's because our son is grown, our house is almost paid for, and we don't currently have pressing financial needs. But your situation will be different. It's important to figure out what amount works for you. One of the cool things I learned in preparing this talk is how very easy our pledge team has made it to give to St. John's. You can set up recurring monthly donations from your bank account, your PayPal account, or even a credit card. A great thing about monthly donations, which I have learned, is that you can spread your contribution out over the year so you don't have to pay it all at once. You can also just put those funny little things called checks in the plate with an indication of who they're from and what they're for, or you could even use actual money. And for old folks like my husband, Bill, you can make what are called qualified charitable distributions if you have an IRA and are required to take minimum required distributions. The amazing thing about QCDs, or qualified charitable distributions, is the money goes directly from the IRA to the church or other organization, and you don't pay any tax on it. It just disappears from your federal and state income. It's magic. I'm a tax preparer for H&R Block, and one of the things I love doing is teaching my older clients about QCDs. They always go, why didn't anybody ever tell me that? And I'm looking forward to turning 72 in 2023, so I can do QCDs too. So, all right, on to props. In the past 2 weeks, you should have received a packet in the mail. It has important information about making a financial pledge to St. John's. It also has a bookmark that is embedded with wildflower seeds to plant. How cool is that? And if you didn't receive it, or you've misplaced it, or you just like another bookmark, Joetta Pro, who's our campaign pledge director, will be out in the lobby after the service to give you a copy of the pledge materials and answer any questions you have. The pledge packet explains how important our pledges are, each and every one of them. It also provides suggestions for you for deciding how much you personally can pledge for the upcoming pledge year, which starts July 1st. In conclusion, as Charles Spencer did last week, I encourage you to put some time and effort into figuring out what contribution amount is right for you. Maybe it will be $20 a month as a recurring donation. Maybe it will be $10,000. Whatever it is, when we put our funds together, we can pave the way to an even better future for St. John's. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. There comes a time in every service where we share our joys and sorrows. So for those of you who are new here or who may not know, we have a bowl of stones that do stones evolve? I don't know. Our bowl of stones has evolved because we have brought in different stones over time, representing the congregants and their experience in this place and their experience around the world. We've got some stones there that have traveled some. While Peng Chang plays, I invite you to come up and choose a stone from our bowl of stones and place it in our dish of sand. These stones represent our joys and sorrows and the many ways in which we support each other. I can't let it go any longer. Today is Nowruz. It is the Persian New Year, although I only say that because I'm Persian. It's celebrated over vast swaths of the world. It is the first day of spring. For our pagan friends, this is an important day, and it will happen technically in 2 minutes at 11:32. Not that I'm counting, but when I say that this is a new day, it is a new day. And I believe Nancy said that our church was built. We have this build where the light's supposed to fall on the sculpture on the new year on the vernal equinox, but they didn't take into account daylight savings time. So just trust that the universe is going to do the correct thing, and we will all get along. And it is a beautiful play of light. So for all of our celebrations and for all of our heartache and our concern, there is room here in this place, in this community. I invite you to come and place a stone to put your donation for the good work of this church and for our Split the Plate partner in the bowl, and to make a community anew. It's a new day. It's Nowruz. Let us begin. I don't see any joys or sorrows in the chat. But I'm going to place a few more stones to represent the joys and sorrows that have not found expression. I'm going to place this stone here. Rick Prairie collects holy stones, stones with holes in them that you can see the light through, that he finds out in the natural world. It's a challenge to look upon this world and see anything that is not holy. But sometimes we take a little step aside and say, here is something special. So for a moment, let us take a step aside and say, here in this community, although everything is holy, here in this community is holiness and goodness. And it is good to support one another.
In a moment, I'm going to invite the choir to come up and we're going to sing a song called Prayer for Ukraine. I want to thank Erna Olafson who tuned me into this. She heard it first on Saturday Night Live of all places, but this is a lovely piece and many of you may have heard it. Many groups have come out and sung this in recent weeks, but just so you understand, it is a patriotic Ukrainian hymn first published in 1885, which then became a spiritual anthem of Ukraine. The text was written by Alexander Koniski, and the music was composed by Mykola Lysenko, first with a children's choir in mind, though that is not who will be singing it today. The song became the regular closing hymn in services of the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church of Ukraine and other churches, and it gained national significance when it was performed by mass choirs during the Ukrainian War of Independence in 1917 to 1920. The hymn was intended to be an official spiritual anthem of Ukraine. So I'd like to invite the choir forward.
Will you join me in an attitude of prayer? May we begin with gratitude for all that has been and what is and what may be. May we also be honest with our great concerns, our heartbreak, and our worry. May we hold all our neighbors in prayer for the hurts of everyday life, the illnesses, the struggles. May we hold the world in prayer. It is a hurting place. Help us use what we have where we are to ease the suffering of this moment, to help our neighbors, travelers, refugees, immigrants of all sorts, fulfill their dreams. Today is a new day. Today is the vernal equinox. Many of you are celebrating Ostara and news, and just sunshine and spring itself. But the truth is, today, like any other day, we are held in balance for a moment, and we must choose who we will be. We must choose what we will risk, who we will stand beside, and how we will rise to face the moment. For the beauty and grace in this hour, even now, we are thankful. Just as we are angry and distressed and heartbroken at the violence and the murder and the destruction that need not be. We pray that this moment of balance tips towards justice, towards peace, towards the smile of children and the blooming of flowers and the rising of the sun. So may it be. Amen. So before 1980s-ish, the United States took in more than 200,000 refugees each year. In the year 2020, we took in 12,000. 12,000? Any of you live in Norwood? One person. Norwood has a population of 19,000. We took in fewer refugees than could populate Norwood. That's just one city in Ohio. What changed? The Reverend Mark Koenig, and I'm quoting here from a sermon written by Reverend Karen Gale. She preached this in 2019. So I'm quoting Koenig from Gale. You got that? It's like nesting dolls. All right. Koenig, a Presbyterian pastor and director of the Presbyterian ministry at the United Nations, says that if we wish to talk about refugees, we have to talk about fear, our fear. Quote, fear always creeps into conversations about refugees and immigrants, a fear of the other, a fear of people from whom we differ. He writes, some pastors may preach that we should be afraid, that we should hunker and hide in fear, and we should allow fear to guide us in our behavior and relationship with refugees. I will not do that. Surrendering to fear in relation to our brothers and sisters who flee for their lives flies in the face of everything I believe as a follower of Jesus. It goes against everything I believe as a citizen of this country. All right, the Presbyterians and Unitarians are not exactly the same. We're different, but we are the same. We got some places where we run alongside each other. At Presbyterian, I hear tell, at Presbyterian ordinations, as well as Unitarian ordinations, very often a new minister is presented with a copy of the Bible, yes, and a freshly printed newspaper. The idea being that we who preach should seek guidance from Holy Writ, even as we seek to serve the needs of this day. It is a good idea. Of course, for us UUs, we honor many different faiths, so we would have many different books on the one hand. And on the other hand, we could talk about what's happened to the free media, but maybe that's a sermon for another time. We can just say that the news feed is constant and unending and heavy. How do we, you and I, make a church that tends to the needs of the day by drawing on the wisdom of ages? How do we humbly recognize the celestial patterns that hold us all, the patterns that are playing out on these walls? The creation that is one, the love that is one. How do we humbly recognize the celestial patterns that hold us all? How do we dare to hope out loud when there is war and natural disaster and pain at every turn, both personal and on the world stage? It's really tempting to retreat and just say, we'll just let God handle it. I don't think that's ever been the Unitarian way, like ever. It's also tempting to retreat into politics and let church become just another social justice organization. It's tempting to give up the holy or to give up the consideration of that which binds us to each other. It is tempting to let go of grounding larger than ourselves and just focus on who we are now and what needs doing right now. But friends, when we walk away from the eternal or from the biggest ideas that lay claim to our spirit, we put our spirit in danger. Danger of living inauthentically and not even knowing it. Why do I say this? I say this because the world is a hurting place. And because you and I and all of us are steeped in this world, like this is the world that forms us, and it's a hurting place. And we cannot help but to be carriers of the hurt of the world. The hurt that is out there also lives in us. And if we don't hold on to something larger, if we don't ground ourselves in something larger, we risk unintentionally repeating and reproducing that hurt. Reverend Koenig was right. We are afraid. And I can't tell you everything that changed between 1980s when we took in hundreds of thousands of refugees and 2020 when we took in 12,000, but still 12. But I can tell you it does have a lot to do with fear. A few weeks ago, we started singing as a congregation again, right? Like we had our, God love our choir. They saw us through hard times. But a few weeks ago, we actually started singing as a body, as a gathered body, as church again. The song that we started with was Now Let Us Sing. And when I sing that, I often focus on, in my own little head, I focus on sing to the spirit of the love within or the faith within. But there's that other part of the hymn also. It says, lift up your voice, be not afraid. And Rob, would you remind us how that? He was forewarned at 10:58. Excellent. Can you sing just the phrase, lift up your voice, be not afraid?
Yes. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Now let us sing to the power of the joy within.
Yes. So you guys out there, you all have the power of discernment, each and every one of you. You all know what is good and what is right. You have the light of inner conscience, right? And you're going to find yourself in spots where you're going to be called on to lift up your voice, and you're going to think, I don't want to say anything. They might not like me if I say anything. And you're going to remember this moment right here and right now. And you're going to lift up your voice, and you're going to be not afraid, because the spirit of Rob, at least, will be with you. Thank you. Once upon a time here in America, we had a system which allowed individuals to support and sponsor refugees, but that change was changing laws in the 80s. And now all refugee settlement is conducted through 9 approved agencies, 4 of which are explicitly Christian. Shockingly, in a very diverse world, the plurality of refugees coming into America, not the majority, but the plurality, are Christian. The exception to this rule is the sponsor circles for Afghan refugees, which I spoke about a few weeks ago. So I said we are afraid, not you all are now equipped, but as a culture, we are afraid, right? And I can tell you that I'm sure that 9/11 had something to do with that. And I know COVID had a lot to do with that. The UN High Commissioner defines refugees as, this is what they say, refugees are persons who are outside their country of origin for reasons of feared persecution, conflict, generalized violence, or other circumstances that have seriously disturbed public order and as a result require international protection. So if you and I were able to go to the southern border of the US and we looked at the people gathered there and we heard their stories and we spent time with them, we might just understand how clearly they fit the UN High Commissioner's definition of what makes a refugee. And we know, because let's be real, we know that they will never be granted legal rights to enter or stay in the United States. Their only hope of being and working in the US is to do so without papers. There are elements of our society that would ask you to fear them, fear that they will take your jobs or harm your families, fear them because they are different. You have heard the rhetoric. I don't need to repeat it. It's in your news feed, it's in the paper, it's on social media. And then on the other hand is scripture that tells you to love your neighbor as yourself. For the immigrants who do manage the layers of bureaucracy to enter this country with all the paperwork in order, a clock starts ticking and they have a limited amount of time, a number of months, to do what needs to be done to be able to stay. And when Afghanistan fell, we as Americans left thousands of people who had been helpful to us. We left mothers and 7 children, and yes, we left them in harm's way. Following the rules would have taken each of those people months of paperwork and many borders to cross before coming to the US. So many Afghanis were granted status as under this category of humanitarian parolee, meaning that they are here without proper papers, without proper status, but they're parolees. So they've got some time to get their act together before we kick them out. Parolees. Okay, moreover, a parolee is not technically designated as a refugee. It's a legal, it's a splitting of hairs on the legal front, but it does make a difference as to what protections you have under the law. So in the hand that holds the newspaper, we need to know the convoluted machinations of laws and government limitations so that we in a democratic society might choose to address them in a well-informed and heartfelt way. But now, root yourself in scripture, or if scripture isn't your thing, root yourself in the light of conscience or the humanist conviction that each person has worth and dignity. Root yourself in the eternal and ask what it sounds like to say that those people who are running for their lives, that those people shall be known as parolees. That is what the government says. But you and me and St. John's, what do we say when we look into the eyes of the stranger? We who are grounded in this faith will see the beauty of the other. We will be humbled in the presence of humanity. We will still be tempted to be afraid, but we will lift up our voices and we will sing to the Spirit within. I am so proud of us. Y'all, I went on like this deep dive of looking at things that the UUA and the Methodists and all sorts of other people, the rabbis are just awesome. But you know who else is awesome is St. John's, okay? Because we made this little button, there's like still some left out there, yes. Made this little bitty button. And it's small, but it contains a ton of theology. It's blue and yellow in support of the Ukrainians. But it says we are a people of freedom, hope, truth, justice, dignity, and courage who extend the same to our neighbors in prayers and through our actions. May we all be free enough to see our children smile. May we all have hope enough for the future. May we all seek the truth deeply enough within ourselves that we extend the same care to all people, for all people have dignity and shall be treated with dignity. And yes, it does take courage, and we will not be afraid. We have engaged with the sanctuary and immigration movement by supporting a family in sanctuary at the Methodist Church down the street. We have provided donations and food delivery to the Willows Project. We have broken bread with our immigrant neighbors. We have given to Heartfelt Tidbits. We are fundraising for humanitarian efforts in Ukraine. And as good as all of this is, it is only a beginning. Because the world, it feels to me, is becoming more afraid. The world is becoming more afraid, and our work in that world is to live and love more courageously. To inspire us further, I'm going to invite the choir to come forward and share their song.
Senior at the School of Creative Arts. I'm the one who can make a difference. Yes, I will make a difference. Against all odds, I can live to share my love with others. Yes, I will make a difference. I will make it. Take my hand, as we make this journey across the land. I'm the one who can make a difference, yes. I will make a difference against all odds. I can live to share my love with others, yes. I will make a difference. I will make it. Take my hand as we make this journey across the land. I had the courage to keep going on. I had the faith, all hope was lost. I had the strength to keep going on. I can make a difference. Yes, I can. 'Cause I'm the one who can make a difference. Yes, I will make a difference against all odds. I can live to share my love with others. Yes, I will make a difference. I will make it. Take my hand as we make this journey across the land. I had the courage to keep going on. I had the faith, all hope was lost. I had the strength to keep going on. I can make a difference. I can make a difference. I can make a difference. Yes, I can. 'Cause I'm the one who can make a difference. Yes, I will make a difference against all odds. I can live to share my love with others. Yes, I will make a difference. I will make it. Take my hand as we make this journey across the land. I had the courage to keep going on. I had the faith, all hope was lost. I had the strength to keep going on. I can make a difference. I can make a difference. I can make a difference. Yes, I can. I'm the one who can make a difference. Yes, I will make a difference against all odds. I can live to share my love with others. Yes, I will make a difference. I will make it. Take my hand as we make this journey across the land. We are one who can make a difference. I will make a difference against all odds. We can live to share our love with others. Yes, we will make a difference. We will take my hand as we make this journey across the land, across the land, across the land. Take my hand.
Space between I and we is what we do best. Thank you, Rob. Very, very, very inspiring for the work ahead of us. There are small ways and there are large ways. After service, Sheryl is going to be around to answer any questions about heartfelt tidbits you might have. Monica, where are Edie and I gathering? Okay. Edie and I will meet those of you who want to talk about the partner church program in the chapel. Let me be very, 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 very like plain and hard about this as I can be. We have a 30-year partnership with a church in the Transylvanian region of Romania. Some people have said, why do we care about the elderly in Romania? Because we have a 30-year relationship with these people. We have, you don't decide to walk away from your family because they moved to California. You still care for them. You still stay in touch with them. You still engage with them. We share a root in the Unitarian tradition, and we share memories and we share stories. And frankly, right now, with the world as it is, we share a lot of anxiety and grief, and we share concern about what will happen next. They are our friends. They are our brothers and sisters in faith. Edie and I are going to head out. I got a phone call from a friend of mine I hadn't seen in a while, and she said, well, I suppose you've already canceled your trip to Romania. And I'm like, we're leaving on the 4th. So Edie and I are going on the 4th, hoping to renew those connections. If you are interested, if you walked into the church for the very first time today, and you're like, well, this is obviously my people, congratulations. You have a 30-year relationship with a church in Romania because the churches are joined. And if you are part of this community, you're part of that friendship. So please join us if you have any questions, or if you want to know more, or if you might want to know more later on. Part of doing the work of church is making room for the Spirit. Arcus is leading us in evensong starting this week, Arcus. So please, I'm sorry? 6:30 on Wednesdays. So please reach out to Arcus or email me and Marie and let us know you'll be coming here at the church. Very, very good. Very good. Kathy Shell, our esteemed president, is already waiting. All right. Hi, Kathy.
Ooh, could you hold this? Good morning. We have known for some time that our beautiful sanctuary, with its amazing design, has a few problems. We have buckets to catch leaks. You have noticed deterioration in the walls and cracked windows. With the board's support, the master planning team engaged a facade expert to assess the problems. This is an engineering firm that specializes in the repair, restoration, and design of building exteriors. Here is a 42-page report, complete with many photos taken during the assessment of our sanctuary walls. It includes recommendations for how to restore our walls. The board met last Wednesday and voted to support the master planning team's recommendation to move forward with this restoration as soon as possible, taking advantage of the spring, summer, and fall to complete the 6-month process of repairs. Today, I am announcing that we are having a special congregation meeting on Sunday, April the 10th, so that the members of St. John's can vote to begin on restoration of our sanctuary exterior. Also on the agenda will be a vote to approve the board obtaining a bridge loan, which is a short-term loan, to pay for the sanctuary work in advance of an anticipated capital campaign later this year. For information, including a link to this report, it will be shared this week via e-news. Next Sunday, March 27th, after the service, please plan to attend an informal meeting in the sanctuary on Zoom. The board and the master planning team will address your questions. This meeting will prepare members to vote during the special congregation meeting on April 10th. All those who have been a member of St. John's since February the 10th may vote on April 10th, but we encourage all members and all friends to attend this important congregational meeting in person here in our beautiful sanctuary or on Zoom. Mark your calendars. Thank you. Move on back.
If you've ever wondered how to use the phrase desponded mortar in a sentence, this will show you how to. So, okay, so here we are. What did we do? What have we done in the last hour? How have we celebrated spring? Let's see. We had amazingly beautiful music. We had a song given to your heart to carry with you, no matter where you go or what you do. A song of courage. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. We heard messages about how our community partners are working to support immigrants and refugees of all sorts. We have received an invitation from Peng Chang to come celebrate with him. He has worked so hard and he is an amazing musician, and it is good. I don't want us to walk out of here, out of this hour of worship, with the despondent mortar report. Although you're free to admire the trash can strapped to the back wall to collect water. There's a hymn that probably should not be used, says my liturgical self, for a closing hymn. But I think today it's important to use it as a closing hymn. This is number 159, I think. Unless I changed it. This is my song. Everything I said, all that work that we have to do, like the practical work of voting on bridge loans, that does not seem like it's inspired by anything larger than banking policy. But let this song be a reminder that we are rooted in something larger. We are given to something larger, and that something larger will hold us and see us home.
Since my song, you are God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands apart and wide. This is my home, the country where my heart lives. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts in other lands are weary, with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on covered reef and pine. But other
If you have found peace in your heart, extend it in your actions. Care for this world, work for it. What there is of God and goodness cares nothing about lines on a map. Love each other, and let there not be any end to love. Go in peace, stay for coffee, and to find new ways to serve. You are a blessing, just as you are. Take that blessing to the world. Amen.